The past perfect subjunctive in Italian is the grammatical mood that expresses a completed action that happened before another past reference point that is mental, emotional, or hypothetical. Being the final subjunctive, this mood is compound, just like the past subjunctive, known in Italian as il congiuntivo trapassato. We can think of it as saying, I thought that he had already done, if I had known, etc. Because it is the past, its formation is compound, with past participles and auxiliaries avere, to have, and essere, to be, which will be conjugated in the imperfect subjunctive. The two topics were thoroughly explained in previous videos that talk about Italian past tenses and subjunctives, so as always, I highly recommend watching those videos before finishing this lesson. Because the auxiliaries have irregular forms, we have to use them in the imperfect subjunctive, with a past participle. This way, we create the structure of the past perfect subjunctive. Also, don't forget that essere is used with verbs of movement and reflexive verbs, and that past participles must agree in gender and number with the subject. So, these are the conjugations that we will need to form the past perfect subjunctive, which will be in the stance of uncertainty. Io avessi, tu avessi, avesse, avessimo, aveste, avessero. Io fossi, tu fossi, fosse, fossimo, foste, fossero. Although Italian conjugations are sufficient in specifying the subject, some are repeated, so it's better to say them with the subject pronoun in context. So, this is how the congiuntivo trapassato is formed, and similarly, we use it in the same cases as the imperfect subjunctive, such as reported thoughts in the past about an even earlier past, se clauses, and certain conjunctions. When it comes to reported past emotions, the main verb is in the past, while the subordinate action is already completed before that, like saying, pensavo che lui avesse capito. Likewise, the mood is essential with se clauses that use the past conditional, specifically type 3. Instead of having the imperfect subjunctive, we can use the past perfect subjunctive, which basically puts the auxiliaries in the imperfect. So the pattern follows se plus the congiuntivo trapassato, and the result is in the past conditional. An example is se avessi saputo, sarei venuto. At last, the mood can also come after conjunctions in a past frame, because they create a subordinate clause that refers to a completed past action, like prima che, benché, affinché, a meno che. An example is ti ho chiamato prima che tu fossi uscito. Even so, when comparing the mood to previous subjunctives, we see that it's about a mental, earlier, completed past, so that's how the mood really works. By understanding when to use it, we can see some practical examples that are used in everyday speech. Pensavo che lui avesse ragione. Credevo che tu avessi finito. Dubitavo che loro fossero arrivati. The last thing to note about this mood is that it has no new irregular forms, because the only technical irregularity comes from auxiliaries and irregular past participles, which are always the same in any tense or mood. What's important to understand about the congiuntivo trapassato is that a clause can depend on a past mental verb. So if you say, had done, in English, it would mean that the reality is inside a thought, doubt, regret, or hypothesis, because the mood shows the speaker's attitude toward the action. In conclusion, this is how all subjunctives are formed and used in Italian. and this is what I've shown across all final Italian videos. In the conclusive video, after this one, I will show 100 phrases that are useful to know and say in Italian, so that way the entirety of Italian grammar will finally be finished.